Okay, guys, and we're back with another episode of the Seth Solo Side Quest. I'm Seth from the Lonely Stunner podcast, and this is episode 41 of my side quest. Now, again, like we normally do, we're going to talk about some boxing. We recently got the news that Sheeraz had broken his hand in the Adames fight, and that's sort of his not excuse. Breaking your hand is a legitimate reason to not fight your best fight. So I wouldn't say it's an excuse, but now we've got a bit more understanding why Sheeraz was so happy and so comfortable on the back foot and never really tried to stand his base, take the centre of the ring and sort of, brawl it out a bit with Adames to at least get some respect there. But now we know because his hand was broken, so he really wasn't trying to use that hand. Obviously, when your hand's broken, you don't want to punch with it. That's the last thing you want to do with it. So I was basically forcing him to kind of fight one-handed, and that limits you so much. So that means you can only throw one type of punch, one side of punch. Like, it limits you a lot. And especially if you're fighting at a world level against a guy like Adames, he's just going to walk through that and just walk you down. It's clear that Turkey Al-Sheikh prefers Sheeraz. Makes sense. I mean, it doesn't make sense, but they're both Muslim guys, so I guess they've got that brother style, so they're gonna be nice to each other. Because Turkey Al-Sheikh was telling him he's down by 2 rounds. I think he was telling him, signaling 2, like it was crazy. But I mean, Turkey Al-Sheikh, he's saving the sport of boxing by paying everyone loads of money. So if that's what he has to do. That's what he has to do. Anything to save boxing, I guess. But that will maybe mean that when these two have a rematch, Sheeraz v Adames 2, the first fight was 100% a robbery. Adames should have won that, and he'd be very upset, and I would be very upset with the draw because Adames should have won that, and it was an absolute robbery. But that may mean when they rematch, the Sheeraz will be performing completely different, because if Sheeraz isn't fighting with a broken hand, he can open up a lot more, he can throw more punches, and then, maybe he can win the fight, because he didn't win it in the first fight. I mean, it was a draw, officially, but he really lost that fight. But when you've got a broken hand and you can't throw with that hand, you're facing someone like Adames, that's what's going to happen. But now you give him back the other weapon and he can start to throw more, maybe unload more. We're cooking a bit. So that fight could be a very, very different rematch if that fight is to happen. But yeah, in other news, Martin Bakole's fight against Efe Ajagba in May has now been removed as an IBF title eliminator, which I do understand, but I do and I don't, to be fair, because how much are you going to count that Bakole performance against Parker? It was on 2 days' notice. He was clearly out of shape, but he did get stopped by Joseph Parker in 2 rounds. Is a bit crazy, and you did sell your soul for that. But I hope financially it's worth it for Martin Bakole. That's what I hope, because potentially it may not have been. So I understand that Bakole got paid a couple of million for this fight, if what I'm hearing rumours wise is correct. He got paid a couple mil for this fight. But let's say he fights Efe Ajagba, wins that fight, and then gets made mandatory for the IBF, which I believe is held by Usyk, I believe. Usyk v Bakole is bigger fight than Bakole v Parker, and he probably gets paid more for the Usyk fight because it's a world title fight, right? So I hope it was worth it for him, because he was potentially one fight away from a world title fight, not a world title win, because he wouldn't have beaten Usyk. He's not good enough to beat Usyk, but do you know what I mean? Usyk would have walked through him. It wouldn't have walked through him, but he would have outboxed him for 12 rounds. Potentially even stopping him, because if Joseph Parker can stop you, obviously Usyk's a lot smaller, but Usyk's a slicker boxer. And the way Bakole was looking in that fight against Parker, I get it was 3 days' notice, but the size of that belly on him, like, that is a huge target. I don't know why Parker didn't go to it more, because I definitely would have, but obviously he stopped him in the second round, so he didn't have much of a chance to go to the body, work it. I'm sure Joseph Parker, the high IQ boxer he is, would have started to work the body if that fight was to progress. But yeah, Martin Bakole's lost his IBF title eliminator against FA Jagbar. That fight is still happening, but it's not a title eliminator anymore. So it's basically just a meaningless fight. But like I said, I hope it was worth it for Martin Bakole. Potentially it is still, because I imagine he'll get paid, multiple six figures for that fight against a Jagbar anyway. And he would have made millions from this fight against Joseph Parker. So he'll be okay, I think. He'll be okay. But yeah, that's probably be it from me. Another episode of the side quest, locked and loaded, I guess you could say. So yeah, episode 41 in the bag, and we're out. Peace.